Just along the same line as the previous speaker, is the only way we're going to coerce people to live good lives and be environmental friendly is by carbon taxes, increasing taxes? Is that the only way that you can see forward, by upping the tax the whole time to stop people's bad habits on fossil fuels? Are there any other alternative that you're coming up with to get people to move from fossil fuels and diesels and petrol and coal? Are there any other incentives there besides hitting the whole time with carbon taxes? Because in our country here, we already have a lot of excise duties already on petrol and diesel. That's keeping the country running in taxes. And you're adding more and more. And as the previous speaker said, the poor people, we say the people having the big wage, and the people on social welfare, the marginalised, the people on the low minimum wage. How are we going to compensate them? Okay, a person that has a big wage and can afford it, or has money, can afford all these taxes and afford to live the same kind of lifestyle as they're really living because they have extra money. But the people that are caught are the marginalised, who are barely surviving from week to week anyway. And all these taxes are going to hit them more, and it's getting harder for them to survive. The government are saying they will compensate them in a certain way, but I think at the end of the day, they're still going to lose out. So it's a general question I want to ask you. Are there any other way of getting people to change their habits besides just taxing?
Price is one of the basic determinants of consumption decision of any final consumer. So when the price of a commodity increases, we expect that the consumption of the commodity decreases. But for other options, for instance, transportation may be electrified and electricity can be produced from more renewables. This is also an option. But there is a cost of doing this investment. Or people can change their heating system at home. It is also a cost for those households or for government who wants to bear the cost of this. So someone should cover this cost as well. So increasing carbon tax works in two ways actually. We disincentivize people to use fossil fuel related commodities. At the same time, government collects revenue to finance all those kinds of investment to change the way of doing business in the country. So otherwise, government should find some fund from somewhere else, should cut some other expenditures to finance all those expenditures. So there is another political economy issue actually.
You often hear we have an old saying that it's a small feather that can break the camel's back. How far can you keep going until you break the camel's back? That keep raising carbon taxes. That's the point I'm trying to make. Are we going to keep raising taxes, and we're going to let people behind? That's what I'm trying to get across. Are there any other? You could answer already other incentives besides taxes to change our habits.
Paul mentioned environmental subsidies, and they were €895 million in 2017. So the retrofit and that kind of action would result in lower emissions, lower energy use. So it's a very positive way to improve the environment by having a scheme that is specifically designed to improve the environment.
And what kind of time span are you talking about this retrofit? We say the countries at large and a lot of houses out there, particularly rural Ireland. How many years do you envisage to have a fully retrofit system in place? Every household that wants it will have it. I mean, we're talking about 10, 15 years, 20 years perhaps. Am I right?
We only produce the statistics. I think that's beyond our remit. But obviously, it's a huge task.
Have you a time span? Roll out?
I mean, it depends on the funding being available, I guess.
Well, we're talking about 20 years plus.
If that's the situation.
Face reality.
Yeah.
Can I ask then, just again, not to be holding up, just wind and solar, these are the alternatives that we're talking about, wind farm in particular. Well, I'm told that even with wind farm, we had a system up and running. Some days, particularly in the middle of summer, that you don't have wind. You might have solar, you might have sun. And that no matter what kind of system we're going in place, there's going to be times, maybe seasonal thing, that we're going to be short of energy because when the turbines are not twisting, or not turning, so I should say, not turning, and we still have to go back and have an alternative there, such as fossil fuel, such as diesel or coal or whatever. We'll still have to depend on that. And what percentage of that have we worked out that? What percentage can we depend on the whole year round? And when do we have to go back to the system we have in place now? Can you answer me on that one? Have you statistics on that? I must be asking awful hard questions.
The contribution from renewables is increasing all the time.
I know that.
And in winter, when people need the heating, you do tend to have more wind. So, but as you mentioned, it's a slow process. And the contribution from renewables should keep climbing over time.
Can you see a time coming when we'll be completely dependent on renewables and to be self-sufficient?
It's possible if you keep, you may have to fall back maybe on natural gas, something that maybe wouldn't be as polluting. But there is going to be variability within the year, and you do need a mix of fuels to be able to manage when that happens.
I'm going to come to agriculture, but I want to ask you another question first. You know, we have targets set, and we're not reaching. We're not even reaching halfway there. We're only getting percentage-wise there. Can you see as by 2030, I think is the next target that we're setting to reduce so much? I can't think of the exact figures now. Can you see us reaching that or getting anywhere near it in the next 10 years, 10 years from here? Or are we going to be behind every year and paying a penalty charge every year to Europe for breach of our targets? Can you give us any idea when we will actually catch up with what we're supposed to be not producing, reducing? Can you give us any time when you think we will actually come level with what the targets are set?
Well, we estimate that if the carbon tax were increased by 80 euros per ton, you will have a reduction in emissions by almost 11%. So the question here is, you can do nothing and pay fees for not doing nothing, because at the end of the day you have to pay a price for the carbon that is generated in the economy. So if you create a carbon tax, at least you have some revenue that you can use to compensate poor households or to invest in some renewables or any kind of green investment. So the options are quite clear. We have to reach these targets, and the policies that are, the instruments that are there are kind of established and clear around all the world and in Europe. Carbon taxation is coming kind of a strong policy used in all the world now. So as far as we can see, those are the options. Either we create policy instruments that can give you some extra money or revenues, or we just pay the fees, which is going to be just throwing money to a hole.
And the last thing I just want to cast, naturally, I'm coming from an agricultural background, still involved in agriculture, was this morning anyway. You know, farmers are being blamed, and agriculture is being blamed for 30% of the greenhouse emissions. But we have a great product here, a green grass product, naturally produced. We have the burning dams and forests at the moment, and they're burning just to create land. I know this is a policy, probably from Europe and all that, but we're going to import from the South American countries. They have to load ships. They have to, first of all, burn off the land, make grass in it. We have a natural product here. They're going to have to then make all the cost of emissions of that in South America. They have to load that, the finished product then, in beef, as we talk about beef, and they have to bring it over here to Europe, across the whole Atlantic, from South America. Where's the sense, or where's the common sense, or where's the policies and all this? And when we're able to produce beef, natural beef here, I know I'm talking about farming here on our own, trying to keep our own industry going, but we're to balance it with like, it doesn't make sense to me. To me, it's a lot of nonsense saying that we cut back from what we're producing here, which 90% which we export, and yet we're going to go to America now in beef from America at what cost to the environment? We have to burn forests to do it, and then we have to drag it halfway across the world with diesel ships, I presume, are being driven by diesel across the water of the Atlantic Ocean. And I also want to say in agriculture, I don't think we're getting credits enough. I'm a farmer, an active farmer. You know, we have green grass. We're getting no credits for the grass we're producing, which is a natural product coming out of the ground. We're getting no credits for hedgerow, which I myself bought a new machine 2 years ago just to trim our hedges, just to keep the environment right for wildlife, for wildlife, for biodiversity, whatever you like to call it. And we get no credits at all for that, and we're maintaining it. And yet we're being penalised for producing 30% of the emissions, we're being told we are, and we get no credits for what we're doing. Shouldn't that be recognised in Europe, or whatever the powers that be? And we should be getting credits for maintaining biodiversity, maintaining our hedges, maintaining our growth, and as well as that, looking after the safety of roads and ditches as well. I think we're getting an unfair deal as an agricultural farmer myself. We're getting an unfair deal in the whole system and the way the whole system is being reported at the moment and the way the statistics are being made up. And that's only a personal opinion, but to you, I'm getting the chance to ask you, and I'm going to ask you this when I get the opportunity. But I think farmers are getting a raw deal. They're being told their emissions are 30% of the whole country of greenhouse gases, and yet they get no credits for what they're doing in hedgerow and maintaining hedgerows and for biodiversity in general, the bees and the birds. But again, I'm getting the job to get answers.
There is a development of ecosystem accounts, and that will recognise the contribution from farming and from land and the hedgerows, and adjust the timing maybe of certain.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? My understanding is we are getting no credits for hedgerows, and no credits at all on the 30% emissions, that we're not being allowed any credits for hedgerow, growing hedgerows, trees, grass. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me.
But as ecosystem accounts develop, there will be recognition of the very important role played by agriculture.
Why not now? Why are we being blamed for 30% and when I get no credits for it at the moment? Will be as in the future.
Well, the ecosystem accounts will kind of fully describe the importance of agriculture and of land in the ecology of the country.
And maybe our emissions should be only put down to 15% then if we get credits for what we're doing already, instead of being just 30% being thrown up and urban dwellers saying, oh, the farmers are polluting the country and just like it. Maybe this should be looked at sooner rather than later and give us credits where credits are due.
And just on the other point, I mean, it's obvious that all these statistics need to be measured at a world level, which is why the Sustainable Development Goals are so important. I mean, we need to know about the problems in Brazil, obviously, I mean, that's very important for the environment. So it's a slow process, though. Developing these statistics at world level takes a long time.